Hey, my name's ShawNshawN. I sell art on ShawNshawN.co and specials on eBay. Today we're going to review Rafi Perez and the channel Rafi Was Here. Let's check it out, guys. So this first video I haven't watched, which is good because I've seen a lot of his channel like over and over again. I think a lot of artists have. His focus really is kind of on rants, kind of bitching about things that artists have to go through that they shouldn't have to go through, or scams and all this kind of stuff. So he has a lot of good art advice too. So sometimes it's positive, it's negative. He calls it a rant, and he's focused more on artist advice, artist philosophy, how to survive in the market. Versus painting tutorials, which is interesting because most artists do painting tutorials and kind of, here's how to paint, here's the tools I use, and just that's it. So it's kind of a really different angle to the art market. Jose Trujillo does this a little bit because he's blending art tutorials a little bit with mostly just advice. So this is another advice channel. I think it's really strong because I think most artists aren't doing the advice. So it's kind of like a big blue sky kind of approach. So let's check out this first video. Why I do not do art video or painting tutorials.
Rafi's rambles. Hola, you amazing artist. Today I wanted to have a quick heart-to-heart with you because I've gotten a lot of questions about doing tutorials and whether or not I'm planning on doing tutorials. There's a part of me that it pulls on my heartstrings because, like, obviously I want to be able to give you guys as much information as I possibly could. But when it comes down to like doing tutorials are something that are very, very popular on YouTube. And also I think tutorials are awesome because, like, for anybody that wants to learn a certain technique or how to use certain materials and stuff, these tutorials are great for that. The only problem is, and one of the reasons that most of what you see is talking heads in our videos, is that filming and doing tutorials is very, very involved.
So yeah, one of the challenges of painting tutorials is you kind of have to have the intro, show the paints, show the video of the painting, then do a voiceover. I don't think it's that difficult. But yeah, let's see what Rafi says more about in depth.
Whenever I get started on a piece, I'm basically winging it from beginning to end. I have no idea what I'm going to do. There are artists out there that they can tell you what the colors are for skin tones. They can really walk you through the process, and they're amazing. They're amazing. YouTube University. Just go there. There are a bunch of videos that will show you what to do.
So yeah, one of the challenges is I find this as well in my abstracts. I don't really know if I'm going to stick to a color range. So what I'll do is I'll pick a whole bunch of colors that I might use, and maybe I use 3 or 4 of them. I don't use all those colors, but and usually I try to pare that down to the colors I did use, but sometimes I forget and it's just the whole color range, and there might be yellow and there's no yellow in there, but I think you can tell if there's no yellow in a painting. You can kind of spot it, especially if it's not. I mean, if it's a blend, you might not know because if you're using a color range of reds, there might be some yellow in that red already premixed, and so it looks fine. But yeah, if you don't know your color range, you don't know your subject. When I do my abstracts, I don't know what it's going to be about, so I just film it and then I talk about it afterwards. But I don't find this a problem because abstract is abstract. But yeah, if you're doing kind of, I think some of his style is he'll do like a pure abstract and then maybe add a bird, or he'll do kind of the background, and then he's kind of just free-forming his ideas as he paints. So that's very difficult to paint, but you can just record it and then later add voiceover. So I don't know. It seems like you can still do painting tutorials, but maybe he just doesn't want to do a style. Let's see here more.
Learn how to paint a certain way. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to tweak it. Basically, when I work on art, it is a series of risk-taking.
So yeah, I think that's a really good point on really good art is you're going to always kind of push your boundaries. If you're always just cookie cutter, doing a landscape and it's always the same type of landscape, there's no real challenge there once you get good at it. So it just kind of comes off stale. So, for really truly art breaking through the barrier, so to say, is kind of do your style, then you kind of push it a little more and you push a little more and you push a little more. And as you have that evolution, it's harder to sell that way, but it's definitely long term where you want your career to be. So when you finish your life, you're like, oh, I kind of evolved this style here and I created that. And people were like, wow, this guy really evolved. Versus some artist that kind of had a lot of success, but he did like traditional landscape all the way through. He's just going to be like, boom, he hit that popularity, goes through, and you're like, and? So, I tend to agree that I'm going to skip this and go on to another video. I'll go see it in full later. All right, so one of the videos interesting is usually with the Rants and Raves by Rafi, it usually has him here, and then his wife is way in the background, so they kind of shoot it cross-linked across their studio. So Rafi is the main person, and she's in the background. And it's kind of interesting because she usually pipes along and adds a commentary, a joke here and there. So it's kind of really fun because she really spices up the video. So she's in the background. So it's, they work as kind of an artist team. He does painting, she does jewelry. And then, so what happened is, they used Etsy a long, long, long time and big fans of Etsy from the start. And they had a lot of success with Etsy. But then all of a sudden Etsy they went corporate, they got sold off, so IPO'd, and then a new management team came in and they kind of started changing some of the policies. So this is one of the more popular rants by just Klee, which usually isn't forward facing the screen. So let's check this out.
I've recommended Etsy to hundreds, no, probably thousands of fellow makers, and I've only had the most positive things to say about Etsy until today. Today, an email was sent out introducing a new campaign which is asking American Etsy sellers and international Etsy sellers that do business with the United States to do something which, frankly, I simply cannot get behind. Etsy has asked us to begin offering free shipping on any orders of $35 or more shipping to a destination within the United States. They're calling it the free shipping guarantee. So
yeah, as Etsy kind of went that corporate route, what happened is, Etsy said like Amazon started doing an art store as well with kind of handmade guides. So they kind of were taking on Etsy at the same time, and Etsy was just handmade only. So one of the ways Etsy handled it was kind of allowing some of these Chinese cheap knockoffs to enter the market, which is a big mistake because then it kind of trashes the whole handmade uniqueness of Etsy versus, say, an eBay or an Amazon. And the second is the shipping. So let's get in more how they change the shipping and why it's so bad.
Sounds awesome, right? Well, here's the thing. There are numerous problems with this.
In other words, a lot of problems.
We're going to get through all the problems that I've come up with, so we're going to try to move quickly through this problematic clusterfuck. Okay, let's start with the obvious. First of all, $35 is a very low minimum to be offering free shipping. I have pretty low shipping costs compared to a lot of sellers. My stuff is small. I typically spend about $8 to ship a package. I charge my customer $4, and I absorb the other $4. I offer free shipping.
So I don't know why you would kind of supplement shipping and eat part of the cost. What I do myself is I overcharge a little bit. The reason is you can do the packaging exactly how you want to do it. Sometimes you might ship, say, to Alaska versus somewhere else, so that covers that extra cost where you might hit those really far out regions of the U.S. and I don't ship to Canada because it becomes a cluster fluck, as they say. I wouldn't agree with eating the cost of shipping. I used to do free shipping on eBay, but what I found is if you offer free shipping and start at a higher price point, the buyer doesn't respect that you ate the shipping. They're just like, oh, it's like Amazon, free shipping. And you're like, dude, I'm a small seller. I have to eat that cost. So I would never encourage anyone to eat the cost of shipping. I would overcharge a little bit so you can do the packaging right. You can ship it. And I learned this from an art gallery manager. At first I thought it was a little unethical, but then I'm like, well, you need to make a profit at each level of the business. And yeah, undercharging for shipping, it just kind of makes you mad anyway. And then you get into this free shipping new policy by Etsy and you're totally hosed. So let's see more of this.
On orders of $100 or more. You spend $100 in my shop, I got you covered on shipping. We good. Now, if I sell an item for $35 with free shipping and I eat that $8, that essentially means I'm giving a 23% discount on those items every time, forever, in addition to paying the fees that I owe Etsy. So just how long can I keep up this business model?
How long could I keep up that business model? My shipping is not even close to that cheap.
Yeah, exactly. I'm one of the lucky ones who has very low, very predictable shipping costs. Poor saps like Rafi, who sells large works of art, and people trying to sell 200-pound armoires, they're really getting screwed here.
Yeah, so it's interesting. She's doing the rant because I would be more pissed as Rafi, because as a painter, you ship anything over, it's maybe 20 by 24 on the size, it just goes outrageously up. And 20 by 24, you might range, I'm guessing right now, but maybe $8 to $15, $20. Probably lower on the $8 side on the general, or maybe even less at $5. But once you get beyond that size and you get to 30 by 40, 40 by 50, it goes way up into the hundreds of dollars. Customers never understand this, so it's always a pain in the ass to explain it to them. You can obviously jack your prices up to kind of eat that cost. It's kind of a way, but yeah, if Etsy's trying to push you into free shipping as a painter, it's really outrageous. So let's see the rest of this.
Says Etsy, you're going to benefit long term from the increased number of sales. Yeah, cool. Perhaps that's the truth if we manage to stay in business that long. Let's move on. Why don't we just not participate? Problem solved, right? Wrong.
Wrong.
Here's the kicker, guys. Etsy is strongly encouraging participation in this new shipping campaign by implementing the following policy.
So I'll just shorten this. Basically, what Etsy does to kind of strong arm their sellers, which is their main customers, where they get all the fees from, is they're forcing them to eat the free shipping, and then they get a better SEO ranking. So they're actually going to rank differently. For free shippers, they're going to be at the rank at the top, and the not free shippers are going to be ranked below that. So basically, they're totally hosing your search engine results, not rank you as high in the marketing. So you're basically hosed versus other sellers that are brand new and maybe are more gullible to this. And so you immediately just see this discrepancy in the market and their search terms. So they're just totally hosing their sellers. I'll go into another video to shorten this. So yeah, this is more their traditional format where you have Ralphie up front, big head, and then she's really far in the background, and she just kind of drops a commentary, peanut gallery, she says. So that's a really funny vibe in the video versus other artists are only themselves, like me or Jose or Andrew or all these other people I've covered. They're only by themselves, so they don't have a backup team. Sometimes I think Cesar Santos sometimes has his wife filming, but she's not really primarily the video. So it's really interesting, this husband-wife team. And so this one is really cool because he's talking about display walls. I've actually copied his design. It's a great design, so let's go check it out.
So some of you saw my video on setting up for a festival and saw that I build my own walls, and I said that I would do a tutorial.
So this is basically another reason why he doesn't do painting tutorials is he's not really good at them for various reasons. So
one of the first things that I do that I did not film is actually build a frame. Essentially, it's the same thing as you do with like stretcher bars for a canvas, except I use 1x2.
So this was a really crucial part of the video that would have been great to add, because I just saw this like, oh, I know how to build a frame, and I built a frame. And what you have to know is the walls are like this. They're square, but on the top side, it has to be all the way across, and then they go up to like this. And I did it like this, so when you have the wind and you have the wind like this, it starts to move the walls. My walls are basically like, they're still usable, but in a high wind, they're like, and they fall over really easily. So you really need that high, that plank like this meet up at both sides. So that you have that sturdiness going across vertically. At the bottom, I think you could do it the opposite. I don't know how he did it at the bottom, but yeah, I definitely did the wrong design there. But yeah, basically you have the elbows on there, which I always add on my own frames to make it sturdy. And then he's adding this special fabric. So let's get into it.
Foot pieces of wood, and then I cut them to shape, and I do a frame with L brackets. The one thing I can tell you is that before you get started on doing any woodwork or anything, make sure that you pre-drill your holes.
Yeah, you learn this the hard way. As an artist, you'll build one frame, and then you just screw in the screws, and if you have to go really deep, you'll split the wood, and you're just basically trashed, and you have to start again. But you learn this the hard way once, and then you always pre-drill the holes. So let's go a little further ahead.
Very durable, and it works perfectly, is shade cloth. Shade cloth you could buy in rolls at Home Depot or Lowe's or any kind of construction store. You could also find them online. Just Google shade cloth, and you should be able to find it.
So I used something similar at, what's that, Am's Crafts or whatever sewing place, and they had something similar. It was pretty sturdy, but it's kind of more holes, so it works pretty well. So let's go forward here.
So essentially what you're doing is you're going to get a staple gun. Get a staple gun. Don't use like a regular stapler. Get a staple gun and staple your shade cloth.
And one thing he's going to staple all around the edge of this, but one thing I'll mention is get a manual staple gun. I had an automatic one, which I thought was super cool, but the automatic one, hopefully that's not COVID, guys. Anyway, don't get an automatic one, get a manual one. The reason why the manual one jams less, it's more work because you have to put the elbow grease into each of the staples, but it just tends to last longer. I had an automatic one, it just sucked. I don't know, maybe it's the brand I use. I had a cheap one versus maybe a really expensive one works better, I don't know, but the electric one just jams all the time and you end up wasting tons of staples, which then you have to go back to Home Depot to buy more staples or wherever you bought them. So it's just easier to get the manual staple gun.
Stretching it over the stretcher bars. So essentially you're using the frame that you built out of 1x2s as stretcher bars. Once I have it stretched in the area that I want, for aesthetic reasons, what I do is I get a piece of the very thin, I think 1/4 inch oak plywood, and I'll cut that into strips where I could...
So this is one part I didn't use. I think it's extra, but it definitely adds more strength to the structure overall as well, besides, so you have that overlap, so one, it might be like this, and then when you overlap the wood, you do it like that. And so you're building that kind of strength to that side of the woods, and besides, it looks better. So I would encourage you to do this way. You're going to get much better tensile strength in the structure, so those walls are much more sturdier, which I think is really key because he's selling in Florida. There's a lot more windstorms when you go outdoors, so it's really crucial that those walls are very sturdy.
Could cover the area that I staple. And then what I do is I drill it in, and I drill it in approximately every 5 inches or so it goes all the way across. After I've got it in, I'll grab a knife and cut the excess shade cloth off of there, and voila, you've got a wall. This is one of the smaller walls that I've built.
Yeah, and I think this is really good in the sense that it gives it, you know, that screw is really holding that wood together, so it's really strong. I don't know if you need to drill it that much, but obviously screws are super cheap, so I would just go ahead and drill as much as you want. Pre-drilling, obviously, all those holes and then screwing them in. So one of the things I did mine is I sized it to the car, so I would encourage that to whatever can fit into your vehicle. Hopefully you got like a small van or some kind of like an XB or something like that that has that folding down seats and you get that extra room. So I measure exactly to the door so I can get as much space as possible. Obviously, if you get a bit bigger vehicle, you got the longer doors, so that's a huge advantage when you go to an art fair. What I also did to improve on this sign is I added small handles on the top, and those handles, and then you get S-curve little hooks like this, and they're metal ones. You get the really sturdy, thick ones, and then you can hang that off the top of your tent on two sides like this, and then you hang the wall straight off there. And then when the wind blows, the wind's just blowing like this, and you adjust the work a little bit. As long as the work is hanging pretty well, you won't have to worry about the walls falling over as frequently. And you can just really hang those on all three sides. You can only do 3 sides, you can't do 4 with that design. But it gives you a lot of hanging space. Right now with COVID, because they're spacing each of the tents 6 feet apart, it's really great because you don't have those tents back to back. You have the space in between, so when you show it on the outside, you're showing both sides, right? So that's a real advantage. Once COVID goes away and you have the walls back to back, you're probably going to have to hang it differently. You might not want to hang it on the inside like that, but it gives it a really great walkway space because you have all the space to walk through. Another important thing to keep in mind is when you go into your tent, always place the table really far in the back wherever you close the sail. Don't put it in the front. If you put it in the front, you're going to keep people from walking behind you. They don't want to do that, so push it way in the back. That'll naturally pull people into your space. So always leave that huge space in the front of your gallery and you're showing outdoors is be way in the back, and then they can walk through your space and see all the art and don't be bothered. You know, they don't feel intimidated to have to talk to you. Hey, can I get by here? They're just like, oh, they can go into space. There's no one even there because they don't see you. Maybe you're kind of hidden behind a wall a little bit. So that kind of helps them just walk through the space and give a welcoming vibe.
So what I use to hang my paintings on the shade cloth are drapery hooks. As you can see, this drapery hook just slides.
And he has the single drapery hooks. They actually have 3-prong ones, which I would encourage the 3 prongs versus the single prong. The 3 prongs gives you, they fit into the thing, and then you got a hook on the front, like that goes up. So you're actually putting reverse because in the curtains they would go out this, but in the drapery cloth, you hang it like this. You got the hook out there. and so the painting slides in there in the wire or on the those little bracket things in the back. I can't think of the name right now. But you hang the painting that way, and you got the 3 hooks into the grape. It'll give way more support. So get the 3-prong ones if possible. And don't get the one. There's some that have like hooks in the end. Do not get those. I got those. They're horrible. I want to throw them out, but I keep saving them because I end up using them once in a while. But then it's a real pain in the ass to pull out of the drapery cloth. You end up pulling holes through that and kind of destroying the cloth as you go. But yeah, I think this is a really great thing. I think he stains it as well. Let's go to one more video here, guys.
Be like, is this a scam or is this a scam? And just to kind of give you an idea of what to look for, I wanted to put this video together. The problem is, honestly, when you think about it, artists could be a very, very easy mark because...
So yeah, these are really cool that artists have been putting up these videos. I have my own scam video. Yeah, put these up as much as possible. It really helps your fellow artists. You can share it around. If you go into the art groups, always post. If you think there's something a scam, post in an artist group. Say, hey, I have this, buy, this looks suspicious, what do you guys think? And then people will tell you if it's a scam or not, or how to avoid it, to determine if it's a legit buyer and they're kind of trying to pull the wool over your eyes. One of the key signs of a scam is they try to take control of the sale. So instead of them asking questions like, how does this work? What size? Boxing? What's the shipping rate? How does this work? If they ask kind of natural buyer questions, it's not a scam, probably. But if they're like, hey, I want to ship it this way, do you take gift card? I want to send you gift cards. If they start pushing how they want you to close a sale, it's probably a scam right off the bat. So let's see what he says on his scams he found.
Artists beware of the buyer scam.
Oh, yes, I've had a few of these emails also. They're always very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. I am Harry blah 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 from Fort Worth, Texas. I actually observed my wife has been viewing your website on my laptop, and I guess she likes your piece of work. I'm also impressed and amazed to have seen your various works too. You are doing a great job. I would like to purchase one of your piece as a surprise to my wife on our anniversary. Also, let me know if you accept check as method of payment.
Yeah, that's obviously a red flag. They're not going to be like, I like all your work. It's totally impossible. A buyer will always usually they might like your whole work. That is like maybe 8% of your buyers are going to become multi-work collectors. But in general, they're not going to be like, I like all your work. I want to buy one of your works. They're going to know the specific artwork. They're going to be like, I like this waterfall piece. I like this abstract piece that's in purple over here. This size, da-da-da. How much is it? So yeah, they're going to have a specific work. They don't have a specific work. It's a scam. There's way more depth. This goes 18 minutes. I'm going to cut it short here. It's a good, obviously, tutorial. A lot of his speeches are very long, so hopefully I've cut this short enough so I don't bore you to death. But yeah, he has a lot of great advice on rants, tips for artists, how to sell, how to market your artwork. His view is a little different than mine. He markets all organically. I don't know if I agree with that in the sense that, recently, last maybe 2 years, Facebook kind of limited way down your organic reach. So it used to be you're reaching most of your feed, but now you're reaching like literally 8 to 10% of your feed. So if you're doing organically, you literally got from 8% to a little bit. And I don't really see the problem of sending it to the buyer per se, using ads, because I think his take on it is he has multiple styles, so it's hard to kind of pitch multiple styles, but you can focus your ranges into, say, here's my abstract sale, and then sell abstract paintings to abstract buyers, or you got figurative stuff, sell it to figurative artists. So I think you can divide it, but it's more of a challenge if you got multiple styles. I have multiple styles. I don't see the problem with using paid ads, because as long as you do them well, you're going to have very low cost, and it's like your helper, it's an easily cheap helper for you and your business to kind of reach a further market. And for example, if you think of, say, the post office is your friend. Are you going to ship a painting to Alaska and drive it there? Hell no, dude. You're hiring the post office to send it for you, so it's just another helper. These advertisers are going out and they're reaching more of an audience you would organically. So that's my take. I think he has some really great advice. For artists, it's really great because he's focused only on artists, so it's kind of a cool channel. It's not kind of focused on the clients per se. He's probably pulling in some clients, but it really reaches the artists, and then they're probably selling it to other artists, and then from there it's kind of growing. And as well as he's establishing his expertise in the field, which is important to kind of sell to buyers as well. Then they're like, they want to buy the expert. And so he's establishing his expertise in the field, which is very strong. And you have this really unique format of Klee in the background, him in the front. And, you know, most painters aren't in a 2-team, they're only a single person. So that's a very unique way to separate yourself from the crowd in YouTube, which is very competitive, obviously, is you have 2 people versus 1 person. You're talking on advice versus the painting tutorials, which, you know, 90% of the stuff for artists are painting tutorials. So if you do advice, it's a completely different market, untouched. And yeah, I think I would recommend his channel. It's really fun to listen to if you're painting and you just like, oh, that's kind of interesting points, or watch it early in the morning, maybe before you get started. You want to kind of think, hey, what's the advice today from Rafi? You know, what's Rafi up to? So yeah, I would recommend Rafi and Klee. And the channel is Rafi Was Here, because it originally started as a traveling art vlog, as they were traveling around in a truck they used to have. And it had Rafi Was Here on the side, and that was kind of the logo, which I would encourage you to paint a logo on your car if you're going to any art event. If you back up to it on like an open field, you're going to have your logo. I had the logo on the back of my car, so every time I back up that car, it's advertising, you know, ShawNshawN.co. So I would highly encourage that. Most people don't advertise on their car. They got a plain car, and 90% of the cars, or 95 or more, do not have any advertising on them. They do have billboards, obviously, but people ignore billboards nowadays. But you have to focus straight ahead of you. So if you have anything on the back of your car, it's a great ad. And that's my take on Rafi Perez. Thanks for watching, guys. And check out his channel, and hopefully check out mine as well. Thanks for watching, guys.